Welcome to Biology My Passion. I am Soumya Harikrishna. We are learning the chapter the locomotion and movement. We already dealt with the muscular system, the types of muscles, their structure, the sliding filament theory that explains the muscle contraction in the previous videos. Now we will learn about our skeletal system, which is also needed for our movements and locomotion. Our skeletal system consists of totally 206 bones. In infants, the number of bones are more, but when they grow up, many of the bones fuse together and finally the number becomes 206. Skeletal system have been divided into two categories. The first category is called a axial skeleton and the second is called a appendicular skeleton. So there are two categories, or we divide the skeletal system into two main parts. First part is axial skeleton, second part is appendicular skeleton. As the name suggests, what is axial? Axial means in the center or the middle. So all the parts coming in the middle form the axial skeleton. It has almost 80 bones in it. Whereas the appendicular skeleton means what? What is coming as the appendix? Appendix means what? These attachments, additional fittings, right? So they are our limbs, means our arms and our legs. But for supporting them, we have structures called girdles. So the girdle supporting the limbs and the limbs together form our appendicular skeleton. That is 126 bones are there. So total if we add, we will get 206 bones. Now let's learn about all these bones of the structures one by one. Now let's learn first about our axial system. Axial system consists of our skull, our vertebral column, our ribs and the sternum. Let's start with the skull. Skull has got total 22 bones. Out of those, a few bones like 8 bones are cranial bones, that is covering our brain part, whereas the rest 14 bones are our facial bones. So skull has cranial bones as well as facial bones. Total 22 bones are there in the skull, 8 cranial bones and 14 facial bones. Cranial bones are in the head part protecting our brain. The facial bones are there in front of our body. The cranial bones are frontal, parietal, temporal and occipital. Each are there. So 4 into 2, 8. So which are the skull bones? Frontal, parietal, temporal and occipital. They form the cranial bones of the skull. 8 in number. Now facial bones, we don't have to learn the names in detail. They are 22 in number. But we know 22 is not the total number, but there are two additional bones also. Here you can see a red color bone, which is a U-shaped bone. This bone is called a hyoid bone. So this hyoid bone is helping us to support the tongue and enable us to talk. So we have 22 in the skull, plus now one more I added, so 23 it became. Apart from this, we have ear ossicles, ear bones. These are very small. They are otherwise called auditory ossicles. These bones are very small and they are 3 in number. First one is called malleus, second is incus, third is stapes. So which are the 3 ear ossicles? Malleus, incus and stapes. They are found in the middle ear. They help in transmitting the auditory signals and enhance the efficiency of the audio that we are listening to. So there are two sets of ear ossicles. So total it becomes 3 into 2, 6. So 29 bones are there in our skull region. Skull has 22 plus hyoid and 6 ear ossicles we have. See, there is a general question you should know, that which is the smallest bone in our body. If that is asked, the one of the ear ossicles called the stapes is the smallest bone in our body. Now coming to vertebral column. Vertebral column is otherwise called our backbone. It is made up of different units called the vertebra, plural vertebrae. Each vertebra has got a central hollow portion, that is a neural canal, through which our spinal cord passes. That means vertebral column provides skeletal support to the spinal cord. There are total 26 bones, but I have written here 33. Why? Because last few bones are fused. So if you consider the fused bones as single one, then the total number will be 26. And this is giving support to our body, and the backbone is present on the dorsal side of our body. The first vertebra is called the atlas. This atlas is connected to the skull or the head part through occipital condyles, and it supports our head. Now, which are the bones coming in our vertebral column? They are divided into, the first one is the cervix or cervical bones. The cervical bones are the ones which are present in our neck region. The cervical bones are 7 in number. So, giraffe, if you see, the neck of giraffe is very long. Do they have more cervical bones? No, they also have 7, but they are widely spaced. Then we have the next part, that is called a thoracic vertebrae. Thoracic vertebrae are there 12 in number. They are for supporting our chest cavity. Followed by that, we have the lumbar vertebrae. Lumbar again, 5 are there. They support our abdominal region. Then comes the sacral bone. Sacral is a fusion of 5 bones and it becomes one single. Okay. And last is coccygeal, or we call it as caudal bone. Caudal means what? Tailbone. Tailbone is also a fusion of 4 bones, so it forms one. So 12 plus 7, 19 plus 5, 24, 25 and 26. These two are considered as single bones. Okay, so these are the parts of our vertebral column. The first 7 bones are the cervical bones. They support our neck region. Then comes the thoracic vertebrae supporting our chest cavity. We have lumbar supporting our abdominal region. And finally, sacrum, fusion of 5 bones. And last is coccygeal, which are our tail bones. It is a fusion of 4 bones. If we try to create a formula of our vertebral column, we can write C7, that is cervical 7, thoracic 12, lumbar 5, sacrum 1, but we use a bracket. Whenever bracket is shown, that is called a fusion, and the coccygeal 1. So here please ignore this brackets, because while explaining I put it, it is not required. So the fusion only shown by brackets. So this is our formula. And what are the functions of our vertebral column? First function is it protects our spinal cord. And second is it helps in the support of our head. Then also it is a point of attachment for our ribs in the dorsal side, and also the dorsal muscles are attached to the vertebral column. Next we are talking about rib cage. So there is a slight difference between ribs and rib cage. These bones are only called ribs, but the total structure is called a rib cage. So what are the parts of our rib cage? We have sternum. Sternum means it's a flat bone in front of our body, that is the ventral side in the chest region, that is called the sternum. And we have the ribs on both sides. They are paired structures. The ribs are there. The ribs are attached in front to the sternum. Dorsally, they are attached to the vertebral column. In this, you can see the structure of the sternum, which is otherwise called the chest bone, a flat bone in front of our thoracic chamber. Now, when we talk about ribs, there are totally 12 pairs of ribs we have. Of this, the first 7 pairs, they are connected in front to the sternum and they are connected behind to the vertebral column. So, both the sides they are connected. So, they are called true ribs, because they are connected in front to the sternum and behind to the vertebral column. Then followed by that, we have false ribs. So they are false. What does that mean? That is, they are connected to the vertebral column behind or dorsally, but in front they are not connected to the sternum directly, but they are attached to the 7th one. Okay, so they are attached to the vertebral column behind. In front, not attached to the sternum, but to the seventh rib. So 8, 9 and 10th pair are the false ribs. Now we have one more set. They are called the floating ribs. They are like floating. What does that mean? Behind or dorsally they are attached to the vertebral column. But in front they are not attached. See, they are only this much. Okay, they are not attached in the ventral side. So they are floating ribs. They are the 11th and the 12th pairs. They are actually supporting our kidneys. Okay. So we have first 7 pairs called true ribs. They are attached ventrally to the sternum and dorsally to the vertebral column. Next, 8, 9 and 10th pairs are called false ribs because they are attached to the vertebral column dorsally, but ventrally they are attached to the 7th rib. Floating ribs are 11th and 12th pairs. They are attached to the vertebral column dorsally, but not attached ventrally. There is a term connected with our ribs that is called a bicephalic. Bicephalic means they have two articulating surfaces at the dorsal side. That means where they are joining with the backbone or vertebral column, they have two surfaces with which they are attached to the vertebral column. That is called a bicephalic. Now, what are the functions of ribs? Ribs are there protecting our vital organs like a heart, lungs, kidneys, etc. Apart from that, they are there to support the muscles which are helping us in the respiration process. We learned about intercostal muscles, external and internal intercostal muscles. This is all about our axial skeleton, which includes the skull bones, total 22, plus hyoid and ear ossicles together 29. Then we learn sternum. So sternum also comes, means it becomes 30. Then in vertebral column we have 26 bones, so it becomes 56. And we have 12 pairs of our ribs, that is 24. So it becomes 80 bones in total. Now next we move on to the appendicular skeleton. Appendicular skeleton means what? Our limbs. That means our forelimb or the arms and the legs and the girdles connecting them. So the arms are supported by the shoulder bones. They are called the pectoral girdle. Pectoral girdle have each side we have 2 bones. So totally 4 bones are there in the pectoral girdle. So here in front, that is in the ventral side, you can see the collar bone. So ventrally we have the collar bones on both sides. So 2 collar bones are there. So they are otherwise called the clavicle. And behind we have a huge triangular bone, and that is called a scapula. We have 2 scapula on both the sides. Now when you see the scapula at the back or the dorsal side, scapula has an elevated spine-like structure called the spine. It's a very sharp ridge-shaped structure which is otherwise called a spine. This spine will extend into a structure called a acromion. The extension of the spine to the shoulder region, that is called a acromion. This acromion will fuse with the clavicle or the collarbone. And so their fusion is here. You can see this is coming from here and is fusing with the end of the spine called the acromion. So there forms a cavity with the fusion. That cavity is called a glenoid cavity. To that cavity, the head of our the humerus is the first bone in our arm, and the head is articulating here. Okay, so pectoral girdle has got 2 bones. One is the clavicle or the collarbone, and second is the triangular bone called the scapula. Scapula has an elevated ridge called the spine. The spine has an extended portion called the acromion, which fuses with the clavicle in the shoulder part, leading to a cavity called the glenoid cavity, to which the head of the humerus is articulated. Here you can see the structures of the shoulder bones, the clavicle and the scapula. Now let's see the bones in our arms. Each arm has got 30 bones. So totally with 2 arms we have 60 bones. So the first bone is this, reaching from our shoulder till our elbow, that is called a humerus. Then followed by that we have 2 bones. One is called a radius, the other one is called a ulna. And there are 8 bones here. They are called the carpals. Then we have the metacarpals. So here you can see in the wrist region we have the carpals, and here you can see the metacarpals. They are 5 in number. Then we have phalanges. Phalanges means our finger bones. You know that in our each finger we have 3 phalanges for these 4 fingers. So 4 into 3, 12, plus in thumb we have 2. So 14 in each arm. So you can see that 14 phalanges plus 5 metacarpals 19, 8 carpals 27, 28, 29 and 30. So 30 bones in each arm we have. Total 60 bones are there. Already pectoral girdle had 4 bones. So total we have 64 bones in our arm, appendicular skeleton and the upper part. Now coming to our pelvic girdle. Pelvic girdle is the girdle supporting our legs. Okay, so here also it has got 2 parts. Coxal bone is actually a fusion of 3 bone, ilium, ischium and pubis. So 3 bones are fused to form a single structure called a coccyx, or this coxal bone has got again 2 parts. So we can say 2 coxal bones are there. And in front, that means ventrally, here the coxal bones are connected by a thick fibrous tissue that is called a pubic symphysis. Now moving on to the bones in our legs. Here, when we come to the legs again, we have 30 bones. The first is the thigh bone, which is the femur. Femur is the longest bone in our body, starting from our hip region, reaching our knee. Then we have 2 bones here, tibia and fibula. Here names are different, structures are same. That is, femur is corresponding to our humerus in our arm. Radius and ulna are renamed as tibia and fibula. And we have the carpals in our wrist region. The same way in the ankle region, we have tarsals. Okay. So instead of carpals, we have tarsals. Tarsals are then extending like a metatarsals, like carpals into metacarpals in the hand. The same way, tarsals into metatarsals, and we have the finger bones called the phalanges. But here one difference is the tarsals are only 7 in number. So one femur, one tibia, one fibula, 7 tarsals and 5 metatarsals and 14 phalanges. So now the number is coming only up to 29 because we had 8 carpals in the wrist but only 7 tarsals in the ankle. So how to compensate the number? We have an extra bone here in our knee, that is called our kneecap. It's a knee joint, so kneecap is otherwise called a patella. So with that our number becomes 30. So we have 30 bones each in our both the legs, starting from the thigh bone, that is femur, then tibia, fibula, tarsals, metatarsals and phalanges. So with this we learned all the bones. So now we got 80 bones in the axial skeleton, appendicular skeleton, 64 bones were there in the shoulder plus the arm, and legs also 60 plus 2 coxal bones are there. So how many it became? 126. So 126 and 80 together we have 206 bones. Hope you understood all these lessons well. So if so, please like, share and subscribe to my channel, Biology My Passion. Thank you for watching.